So we'll start by sitting quietly together. With gratitude that we get to come together. So we are reviewing right now the teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, and what is recommended as a perspective is to see that we are each all of the characters in the narrative. As, for example, if you're watching a play, let's say a Shakespeare play, to realize that you're all of those characters on the stage. You may be in the audience watching, but each character on the stage is also representing parts of you. I was listening to a speaker recently who was talking about how when theater became theater with an audience, it was a transition from an indigenous way of expressing quote unquote theater, which they didn't call theater. What they expressed, tribe members were all participants in the expression rather than having an audience. The speaker was making this distinction to remind us that we are also all parts of the tribe. We are all expressions of the multitudes. So even if you weren't in our yoga psychology training earlier this morning and you don't have the 3 illustrations that they're working from, I'd like you to imagine that there's a part of you that is in the dilemmas of daily life, and maybe even a part of that is the way in which it's said in the Gita, you give rise to psychological battle. So a part of you is involved in these dilemmas, and there is a small part of that part of you that gives rise to the psychological battles. And there is a warrior in you, that which brought you to yoga practice and to class today. And that warrior's duty is to help you discern between the dilemmas and your duty and your deepest essence. So this inner warrior, the task is to help you discern between these dilemmas, which we are participating and co-creating in our lives, our inner duty to awaken to our deepest essence and the deepest essence of everything and everyone. So for these moments where we're settling into practice, I'm going to recommend you put your attention on your inner warrior, that inner duty for discernment. And start deepening the breath down into the pelvis and upwards through the crown of your skull. And as the breath deepens, start making it smoother. So you almost have a sense that you're massaging the breath into the body. You're able to participate with the breath, even though as a force, it's a much larger force than you are. Try to have a sense of the pathway of the breath as something you get to massage into you. You get to participate with. If you haven't yet, you can then lengthen your spine. Set your shoulders very slightly back behind your heart. And then please bring your hands together in Anjali Mudra. So in class today, I'm going to be referring to the part of you that has this duty for discernment. I will also refer to your deeper essence. And I will refer to the part of you that co-creates the dilemmas. Dilemmas are like, the problems, the mental dust bunnies. And one of those dilemmas is the urge to give rise to psychological battle. And you may feel like that's not in you, but if we take the Gita to be a narrative about all aspects of who we are, then yes, that part's in there too. Let's chant Sahana Vavatu together. We can begin. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Savidyang Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidveshavahi. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Savidyang Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidveshavahi. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Savidyang Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidveshavahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. With your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. And then release your hands while staying upright in your seat. We're going to go directly to Pranayama. Just going to take this jacket off one moment. So we're going to use pranayama that activates or stimulates the third chakra. That is where the warrior of discernment of our inner duty lives in you. So you could put one hand on the solar plexus if you like, as a way to remind yourself where is the action coming from. And you will have both a strong contraction of the diaphragm to help with the exhale, exhale, exhale. Then you have to have the relaxation of that muscle so that you can have the passive and then active, passive and active. So while sitting upright, we begin with Bhastrika. Take a sip of an inhale, please. Inhale through both nostrils. Inhale up to your suspension. Release the suspension and exhale slowly and completely, all the way to the end of the exhale. You're toning the low belly to do that. And then deeply relax the abdomen. Receive the next inhale. And we're going to repeat that same activity now. So a little sip of an inhale. Inhale through both nostrils, up to the inhale suspension. Exhale through both nostrils, a long, steady, smooth exhale. You're going to tone the belly to get to the end of that exhale. And then radically relax the belly so you receive the next inhalation. And keeping your attention at the solar plexus, place your hands up on your shoulders. This exhale is done out through the mouth. We're going to be turning side to side. Now let's begin. I'm sorry, out through the nose, excuse me. Exhale through the nose. Five, four, three, two, one. Come to center. And then you inhale, lower belly, mid belly, upper belly, heart. And then suspend the inhalation. When you're ready to, then you exhale long, steady, smooth, slow. Complete the exhale by toning the lower abdomen. And then deeply relax the belly, receive the next inhalation. Now we're going to combine. You inhale through the nose and you'll exhale briskly through the mouth. Place your hands over your knees. The inhale is going to be like cow pose. Exhale like cat pose. So the inhale has to be brisk but strong through the nose, and the exhale is brisk out through the mouth. And it goes like this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, go up. Suspend, bring your head to neutral. Exhale out through both nostrils, long and steady and smooth. Now deeply relax. Rest your attention at the solar plexus, at the third chakra. And imagine the part of you that has this duty needs to have enough stamina, enough fortitude, enough courage for discernment. Discernment means not being swung between craving and desire, aversion and resistance. Please clasp your hands now, and starting at the solar plexus, we're going to go like this. So the hands are clasped over the solar plexus, and then you inhale to push forward. You're going to be rounding the spine. Then we exhale to pull into the heart, and we squeeze the upper back. And then we inhale to go up. And then we'll be exhaling to come down, and the hands will join together at the solar plexus. Okay, so here, we're going to begin with the inhale, push forward. You do round the spine. And exhale, pull into the heart. Inhale to go up. Exhale, arms wide, clearing out the space. And as your hands come down, interlace your fingers, return to the solar plexus. Inhale, push forward, pressing away that which would be intrusive on your dedication. Exhale, pull into your heart, squeeze your shoulder blades, raise your chest. Inhale to go up. We're reaching for higher ground, as it were. Exhale, press out, so you're clearing the mind and the field of energy that surrounds you. Interlace your fingers, solar plexus. So inhale, press forward, round the spine, gaze in. Exhale, come into your heart. Inhale to go up. Exhale, clearing the field, that larger space in which your practice is happening. Clasp your hands one more time. Inhale to press forward, and you're resisting that which would get in the way of your practice. Exhale, draw into your heart that which you need for your practice. Inhale to go up. And exhale for clearing. Place your hands out over your knees and ask that your practice, as you cultivate this inner warrior, may your practice help you to resolve the dilemmas and to remember your deepest essence and the essence of everything and everyone. From where you are now, you can please come to table pose. It's going to take me a moment to get there. When you come to table pose, if you're someone who's in our training, you have your drawings on the yoga mat in front of you. If you were in class the other day, we also used an object of attention. Just one moment as I get the camera. So for my trainees, I'd like the illustration that's at the center to be where your focus is. That's your Arjuna illustration. For anybody else who wants to have a visual representation, you could put something at the front of your mat that represents you as the inner warrior. So I'll put my pictures down. I know you can't see them or know what they're about, but you'll have a sense. And then in this table pose, place your hands so they're shoulder width apart, please. And the knees hip distance apart. And let's inhale, press into cat pose. And again, try to sense that you're pressing down through the arms, pushing away that which would intrude on your practice. And then exhale, bring your heart forward, raise your gaze slightly. Cow pose. Inhale to cat pose. Exhale, reach back to child's pose. Touch your hips towards your heels. Inhale, cat pose. Exhale, cow pose. Bring your heart forward. It's a gesture of willingness. Inhale to cat pose. Commit to keeping at bay the things that would distract you for your practice. Exhale, reach back to child's pose. The pose of humility. Inhale, roll forward to cat. Exhale, cow pose. Curl your toes under. Inhale, downward facing dog pose. Okay, exhale, child's pose. Lower the knees down without coming forward. It's going to require more upper body and belly strength. Inhale to cat, uncurl the toes. Exhale to cow, bring your heart forward. Toes under, inhale, downward facing dog. Press your hands down to bring your hips up. Exhale, lower down to child's pose. Inhale, cat pose, one more time, same sequence. Exhale, cow pose, gazing forward at the part of you that knows you have this duty. And then inhale, downward facing dog pose. And this time exhale, step forward to Uttanasana. Come to the top of your yoga mat. Place your feet so they're hip distance apart and energize your toes and your heels. With your in-breath, glide your heart forward and gaze forward. Your eyes, if you have pictures in front of you or objects, will pass the objects. And then exhale and bow towards your legs. Gaze back towards the back edge of your yoga mat. Let's inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to the heart, Anjali Mudra. May your practice help you to resolve the dilemmas and to remember the indwelling essence. Surya Namaskar, please. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, chair pose. We're going to stay for about 5 breath cycles in chair pose. For those of you who have an object at the front of your mat, and for my training students, you have your Arjuna in the middle. This is a time to reflect in chair pose on the duty that we have. It's going to require fortitude, stamina, courage to help build discernment. Let's root down into the feet here. And on the next inhale, rise up into your full height. Lift your heart, your collarbones, your eyes. Make a little bit of a back bend. And then exhale, bow forward like a yoga pose of humility. Gaze towards the back edge of your yoga mat. Inhale, glide your heart forward. Gaze down at your illustration or your object if you're using one. Exhale, left toes straight back. So establish the left foot behind you. Strengthen your left leg and inhale, rise to your crescent lunge. We're going to stay for several breath cycles. So to cultivate stamina and fortitude in this kind of pose. Press into your left big toe, the other 4 toes as well, but from the big toe, press into your left mound of the big toe, energize your left inner arch. And then your left upper inner thigh. Then zip the pubic bone up. Lengthen up through your spine. Lift your collarbones, and now your gaze. So we started from the back foot there. It's helpful to remember that which you're tapped into, that which is your anchor. And when you next exhale now, sweep the arms wide, keep your back leg very stable. Hover over your front thigh. Then lightly touch the floor. Let's step the left foot forward, heart forward, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale to bow, gazing back past your heels toward the back of your yoga mat. Remembering that which we are tapping into. Inhale, glide your heart forward. Gaze down just in front of your yoga mat. Take your right toes back, please. Inhale, rise up, making your right leg strong. So again, to build stamina in a pose like this, press into your right big toe, the mound of the big toe. Energize your inner right arch. And then the upper inner right thigh. And come into the pubic bone and the central channel that goes upwards. Lift your heart, your collarbones, and your eyes without forgetting the right big toe. So without forgetting, the word that I use for non-forgetting is the experience of wisdom, which we would call vidya. Now using your Ujjayi breath, sweep the arms wide, begin to bow forward. You're going to hover over your left leg, keep the right leg strong. And then lightly touch the floor. Please step backwards, downward dog pose. With your Ujjayi inhale, roll forward to plank pose. Gaze down between your thumbs. Exhale to Chaturanga Dandasana. Please point your toes. Inhale, roll up Bhujangasana, and there you have your object or your illustration, depending on if you're using those items. Exhale, glide down. Bow your head to the floor. This is called pranam. Inhale, roll up, Bhujangasana, cobra pose. Exhale, glide down. We call this pranam. We'll do it 3 times more. So you inhale to roll up. May your practice help you to remember the deepest essence in everything and everyone, including you. We exhale to roll down. May the practice resolve the parts of us that get tangled in the dilemmas. May we have discernment so we can put wisdom into action. Let's roll up one more time, please. This time you might reach it up from cobra to seal pose, where you straighten the arms. And then exhale, roll up plank pose. Inhale, reach backwards, downward facing dog pose. Now this time, stabilize your right leg. Look back at your right foot and press into your right big toe, the mound of the big toe. Steady your right ankle and your right outer hip. And then raise your left leg high to Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. So when you raise your left leg, you do so without leaning your hips to the right. Begin to stack your pelvis over your right thigh. Breathe into the stability that your right leg needs for the aspiration that your left leg is expressing. And when you exhale, begin to level your hips towards the floor before you step your left foot forward. Then press into your right toes again. Inhale, glide up. Left foot forward, crescent lunge. Good. Exhale, arms wide. Hover over your left thigh. Lightly touch the floor. Inhale backwards, downward dog pose. Inhale, forward plank pose. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Bhujangasana, rolling up. Exhale, Pranam. May the dilemmas be resolved. It is our duty to do so. Inhale, rolling up. Exhale, Pranam. Maybe then see clearly the essence of all things. Inhale, roll up. Exhale to glide down. Last one, we're going to roll up. Thoughtfully keep your legs engaged. Decide if you're going to straighten your arms. And then exhale to plank pose. Inhale to downward facing dog pose. And then stabilize your left toes, left ankle, left outer hip. And raise your right leg high. You may stack your hips over your left leg. Stay with the strength that your left leg needs to support the aspiration of your right leg. And then level your hips before you swing your right toes forward. Press firmly into your left toes. Inhale, glide up, crescent lunge. And exhale, arms wide. Lightly touch. Inhale, left foot forward, heart forward. And exhale, as you bow towards your legs, gaze towards the back edge of your yoga mat. Inhale, glide your heart forward. Gaze down at the illustration or object in front of you. Please bend both knees, and keeping your gaze down, come into chair pose. Remind yourself that the journey is going to require fortitude and stamina. Think of the word elegance, not like brute force to make that fortitude. Stamina is not going to be from spit and grit. And tapping into the larger energy that sustains and nourishes us. And press into your feet, please. Energize your legs. Inhale, rise up. We'll make a little standing back bend. And then exhale to Anjali Mudra. You may close your eyes for a moment. And I'm going to ask you to imagine that rather than we have our illustrations on the floor in front of us, imagine it more in a circle format. The center of this circle is your essence in your plumb line. And that is the essence of everything and everyone. That essence shining through you like light through a kaleidoscope. The next circle surrounding that essence is your sense of your duty, your warrior nature. And then a circle surrounding a little wider circle. Those are the dilemmas, which are yours. It is your Gita, as we say. So to support this process that happens at the third chakra, that's where Arjuna sits in the body, the third chakra. I'd like you to take a blanket and 2 blocks. And if you'll unfold your blanket like this, oops, and then fold it in half, length to length. I made a breeze and it scattered my pictures, so I'm going to get those. So what we're going to do is this blanket, which we sometimes call belly bolster. This is one version of belly bolster. For those of you who would like, you can take the top of your blanket, the last part, and curl it one more time. So you've got this thinner, kind of ropey part of it there. And then please lie on your belly button. You can have your 2 blocks close by. You don't need them right away. And please come into slumber party pose, also called Sphinx Pose. Also called, for some people, painful belly bolster pose. So we do place the belly button on the high part of the bolster. That is on purpose. Then press into your right toes, tuck them under, and squiggle your right leg back, making it longer, like you're giving traction to your right leg. Touch the right knee and toes down. Tuck your left toes under, squiggle them back. Touch the left knee down, the top of your left foot back down. Press into both elbows and gently pull your heart forward in your slumber party or Sphinx pose. Please breathe in through the nose, down into your lower abdomen, below the blanket. Energize the legs, please. When you exhale, see to what extent you can let the belly be informed by, massaged by the blanket. And when you inhale, the breath going down lower than the blanket. Keep your legs energized, and you gently press your elbows down to glide your heart forward. Now we're going to make the 2 hands into a little pillow for the head. Turn your head to your right. Bend both knees. And roll your shins gently down to the left. Not that far. We only have to go a little ways to make it effective. Roll your shins to center, turn your head to your left, and let the shins come down to the right. And roll to center and place your forehead in the center. Lower your shins down. Walk your hands back beneath your shoulders. Press down to come up to table pose. And then keeping your hands out over the blankets. So your hands are on the mat and the blankets are probably under your forearms. Please reach back to child's pose It's not important that your head reach the floor, especially since we have the arms elevated. And now walk your hands over the blanket back towards your knees. And we'll take this same blanket, but if you made the extra curl, please take it out. And just the basic blanket, you're going to lay it down your mat lengthwise, please. For those of you for whom you have an illustration on your mat, you can scoop that so that it's not going to be covered by your blanket. Okay, so this front edge of the blanket right here, we're going to be using the blanket across the belly, starting at the upper part of the pubic bone, the base of the belly. I think for some of you, it's going to be more effective if we add a second blanket. We are going to have the blocks to make the floor easier to reach for your elbows. And so you put the blocks on both sides. And the blanket starts just above the pubic bone, in between your hip bones, across this low region of the abdomen. And you come onto your elbows. Okay, so the pubic bone is falling off the back of the blanket. With your elbows on your blocks, make a pillow for your head. The hands can go on the blanket for that pillow, and let's rest down. And take a deep breath into the lower abdomen where the blanket is touching just above your pubic bone. Think of it as a massage that happens. The inhale massages from the inside. On the exhale, the blanket massages you from the outside. If you feel your heartbeat there, that is okay, and in some ways it's expected. Now, scoot yourself back an inch and rest again. You might turn your head to the other side this time. Deep breath into the low belly, so the breath is like a massage to the inner body. And a complete exhale where you can invite the abdomen to melt around the shape of the blanket. And then squiggle yourself back another inch. So depending on the length between your pubic bone and your belly button, you're maybe about halfway to the belly button. Remember, the inhale is to massage the abdomen from the inside. And the exhale is to release tension where you sense your belly is kind of melting around the blanket. And then one more time, squiggle back, and this time you've probably got the blanket. Now either the belly button is on the blanket or you're very close to it. If you'd like, you can make the elbows lower with the blocks because you are in a different place on the blanket. And then with the blocks on the flat setting, pull them back so that they're under your elbows, and please come back to your slumber party pose. Squiggle yourself so that now your blanket is just above the belly button, and you are on your elbows. And breathe down into the lower belly, and then into the mid belly, and then into the upper belly. And exhale, see if you can soften the solar plexus around the shape of the blanket. Now with your toes pointed behind you, slide the block under your left hand back until your hand is kind of under your shoulder. Same thing on the other side, slide the right block back. Roll the shoulders back and begin to press down with the strength of both arms. So as you rise up, and keep the knees on the floor. Press down with the strength of each arm and roll your shoulders back, please. See if the belly could feel breathable from the pubic bone up the inner line of the belly towards your solar plexus. And press firmly into both arms. Start to draw the upper belly in, then the mid belly, then your lower belly. Come to table pose. Point your toes if you need to and reach back to child's pose. Pull the blankets close enough to support your forehead and stretch the arms out over your blocks. In this child's pose with your forehead on the blankets, what you have is a natural inwardness to the gaze because of child's pose and the blanket. So keeping your eyes closed, go inside and imagine the part of you that knows that there is this inner duty as per yoga. The Bhagavad Gita says it's our duty to eradicate the difficulties, the ways that we perpetuate the causes of suffering. And it's our duty to see the essence of everything and everyone, which is also our essence. We also hear in the Bhagavad Gita that it's actually not about us. It's not about how hard we work to do it. It's really about tapping into a larger wisdom. So it's not going to be about our cleverness. Please walk your hands back towards your knees and take your two blankets and lay them across your mat for sitting on in Badakanasana. I hope you didn't eat waffles before class. I probably should have said that at the beginning. I know on occasion some of you have been tempted and you've had pancakes before class, but they had pumpkin in them, so that was justified. I'm just remembering real events there. I'm not making that one up. And I'm enamored of those things. I have affection for that. So let me bring my illustrations closer where you can see that they're here on the front of my mat. I know you can't really see them from there, but you can have a sense of what I'm talking about. You can take the two blocks, please, under the shins. So you're sitting on two blankets. That means your feet are lower than your hips. You can put the two blocks like this under the shins. And let's please come forward in Badakanasana. Hold the big toes. Use your forearm to press against the inner thighs if you'd like to. Roll your shoulders back. So it actually should still feel a little bit like Cobra pose in the heart. As you come forward, take the breath inward And don't let your mind become distracted by the multiple different sensations in the body right now. Stay on track with the inner purpose of your practice. When you're coming forward in Badakanasana, keep lengthening the spine up through the crown of your skull. Make the upper back and shoulders like Cobra Pose, but make the head and neck a little bit like you're doing headstand, for example. And see if the breath has access to the belly in a way that maybe it wouldn't have if we hadn't had our belly bolster time. And lengthening through your spine, please inhale, rise up to sitting. And let's take the left block out unless you need it when you put your leg like this. If your left shin doesn't reach the floor or the knee needs support, take a block or an extra blanket. And then make sure your hips are stable on that which you're sitting on. And take the right foot like this. So I've got my right arm to the outside of my right knee, but the length of my shin and my arm work for that with the height of my torso. Some of you are going to need to have your knee on the outside because that's your circumstance. Okay. Lengthen up through your spine, please. Press your foot into your fingers so you have a strong connection right there. Make the heart like Cobra Pose. I know if your hamstrings or hips are a little bit tight, that's hard to sense. Where's the Cobra Pose? And then any amount that your hamstrings let you, without losing your heart or the strength from your feet, your foot to your hands, any amount you can take the right leg up towards straight. This pose is called Chasana, and I don't want you to feel like you're crouching down to do it, but really keep the Cobra Pose strong. So whatever straight your right leg has, pull your hands back against your foot and raise your heart up like Cobra. Breathe deeply in. And then exhale, bend your right knee back to our starting position here. You pull the shoulders back and the shoulder blades kind of want to hug the upper back there. And then take your left hand on your right heel, right hand on your left. And we're going to glide the right knee back. And take the right hand under your right ankle. Imagine that you were going to put your heel on your belly button. I know, this is not everybody's most flexible area. And see what you can do to lift the chest and heart so it's like Cobra Pose. You're in warrior training right now, so use your upper back muscles, the muscles behind your shoulder blades. And then place your right foot on your left ankle and a block for what the right hip might need as you come forward. Now, sometimes in yoga poses, this effort thing gets stirred up. We're like, it takes over, like a little animal instinct. Sometimes a competitive thing gets stirred up. It's really not helpful. So as you come forward, you can gaze again. For those of you who have 3 illustrations, you have your dilemmas, you have your duty, and you have the deepest essence. For those of you who don't have illustrations, you can imagine it. There are the parts of us that get pulled into the dilemmas. By the way, over-efforting and competition are 2 of those dilemmas. And there are the parts of us that know there's a deeper duty. And you're on the path of yoga, having a sense that there's also a deeper essence. Let's keep the legs as they are. Please rise up to a seat and then cross your right forearm into your right arch, like this. If you have an extra block, you can put it on the tall setting under your left hand and add a little twist to your left. Rotate your twist from your mid-belly, from the solar plexus, from the belly button, and then up into your heart. And let's unwind, come around to face forward, and take your right foot, please, and place it back into, and left foot into Badakanasana. And let's pause here for a moment to see how things are feeling. If you've been to India with me, you could imagine in Rishikesh, we were practicing on that marble platform. And they had the yantra, the fire, and then beyond that, they had the statue of the meditator. Actually, the statue of Shiva, but for those who are not non-denominational, you can think of it as the meditator. Take the right foot now on the inside, and if your right shin doesn't comfortably reach the floor here, you can put an extra blanket or a block, something like this, if you need support. And bring the left foot up. So you are holding the foot a little bit like holding onto the handle of something that you're pulling on. You're pulling with both hands. So with your hands on your left foot, you can pull the arms back so your shoulder blades hug your upper back and your heart. And you can do that even if you want the support under your right knee. It looks like that. Yeah, there you go. And then we want to keep pressing your foot and your hands together. No matter how much you're going to straighten your leg, I don't want you to round your upper back. So try to sense like you're pulling the heart up. The spine is getting taller. Your collarbone's going up with the heart. As you breathe in, down to the lower abdomen and then the mid-belly, into the upper chest and heart. And let's exhale and bring the left knee down so you're back in this kind of starting position here. Reach your right hand for your left ankle, left hand on the right, and pull your knee back. Almost like the warrior archer has to figure out how to pull the bow back. You're pulling this bow back this way. And then take your left hand under. There actually is a yoga pose called archer's pose. And what you do is, let me describe because I can't do it, I can't show it to you. You would be holding the big toe of your left foot and you would pull it back behind your ear and your right leg would be straight out like an arrow. And somehow your foot goes back behind your ear like that, as if you were aiming the bow and the arrow. In this case, we're just going to pretend we're going to bring the heel in towards the navel, lift your heart up, remind yourself that you're in warrior training. And then place your left ankle on your right knee. And take a block to support. as needed. Please come up and over. And again, just in case those poses stimulated some like competition or exertion or effort or some self-centeredness in any direction, like self-pity or self-doubt or self-aggrandizement, just in case that happened, you come back to the center illustration, flanked by the dilemmas on one side and that sense of the deepest essence on the other side. In the middle, the part of you that has a duty. And please rise up to sitting, keeping your hips stable and supported. Take the outside of your left forearm to cross through your left arch towards the floor. The block on your right, you could use if you want to place it on the tall setting and twist to your right. You're turning from the belly button here and the solar plexus from the third chakra. And please rise up to sitting. And again, take your feet to Badakanasana. It's okay to put the blocks if you want to use them. It's okay to go without. We're going to be here for just a few moments. Take your hands out over your knees. So you're really representing the shape of a pyramid right now, which is a very stable shape. This is a three-sided pyramid, front side, left side, right side. Try to sense in the center of that pyramid would be this central channel, this plumb line. Now taking an adjustment to your seat as needed, I'm going to go down to one blanket. We're going to come into the pose called Konasana. With Konasana, we take the legs out wide. For those of you who might need support when coming forward, you can take your block, something like this. For those of you who reach the floor comfortably, you could use the block for your head, something like this. For those of you who want to use the blocks but also support your head, you can put your elbows on the blocks and then cup your hands over your eyes and your forehead. It's kind of nice to have the eyes covered in this pose or the eyes inward. So you, of course, get to choose how you want to set that up. But Take your attention inward and downward. Remind yourself, as we say, it's not actually about us. We have this personal duty, but it's not intended to develop a stronger sense of we're doing it, or like that our individual agenda gets to be placed on everything and everyone. We also are not expected to act all on our own, nor to forget that there's a vitality and wisdom into which we are planted. And keeping your attention inward, especially since you had support on the eyes or the forehead. Please walk yourself back to sit for Nadi Shodhana before we have Shavasana. You can bring your right hand up to close the right nostril. Let's begin with inhale, left side. A brief pause and then exhale, right side. As you come into your practice, start noticing the length of the breath and balance your inhalation with your exhalation. Allow the pauses in your breath cycle to also be important. So you may have like inhale 10, pause for 2 or 3, exhale 10, and pause for 2 or 3. So the shape that your breath would make would be like a long rectangle. Don't make yourself breathless with the pace that you're working with. You can complete that with your next exhale through the left nostril. Sometimes in Nadi Shodhana, we find it quite natural. After the practice, the attention rests between the eyebrows at the sixth chakra. We say in the chakras, in order for clear vision to be accessible in the sixth chakra, each of the chakras preceding that has to be in alignment. So our duty, our discernment, is essential to what happens above, in the chakras above. Without any disruption to the quality of your mind, take one long blanket to support your spine in Shavasana, and the other long blanket to go on the front line of the body up to the heart. Curl the blanket that goes under your neck to support your cervical spine. You can think of it like a chakra sandwich. If possible, your attention can still rest between the eyebrows and stay inward. Allow all of the efforts and the actions of your practice to fade so that internally the rewards of the practice, the benefits of your practice, you can receive them. So action becomes stillness, exertion, emptiness, effort turns to ease. Invite yourself to stay at ease. The entire body can be easeful, and your attention might still be resting between the eyebrows. Please continue to receive the benefits of your practice. Let your body relax even more deeply. Now, while you continue to rest, only reach up and take the blanket from the front, the chakra system there. And I'd like you to then just imagine each of the chakras like a kaleidoscope. The light shines through, and the unique contribution of that kaleidoscope can be seen from within. Each of the chakras has a unique contribution. At the level of the third chakra, we have discernment for putting action into the wise flow. Discernment for wisdom to come through in our actions and our speech and our relationships. And that has to proceed at the fourth chakra. The kaleidoscope is for compassion, loving kindness, equanimity, mercy, love. And that precedes the fifth chakra, the kaleidoscope here, for using our voice, for speaking clearly what is true. Now reach up and take the curl out of the blanket. When you rest your head down, notice the warming sensation that will happen at the base of your skull. When you're ready to, you can wiggle your fingers and toes and make a personal transition to your side. And in your own timing, then come up to take a comfortable seat, please. When you come up to your seat, you can rest your hands in your lap, your heart upright, and your gaze inward. And see if you can sense now in this circular formation I mentioned earlier, the central channel, where you are infused with this essence. I sometimes say as if it's borrowing you to express itself in all the myriad ways that this essence does. And then a ripple out from that essence, like a request from love itself that you have a duty to act. And then a wider circle out beyond that where you sort of face the dilemmas. And those, a reminder that those are considered co-created dilemmas. We are not free from them ourselves. It's co-created. You can just ask, in closing your practice today, ask of your highest wisdom, where should you dedicate your time? In the dilemmas, in your duty, or in your deepest essence? What is the appropriate relationship to have with these things today? And then please join your hands at your heart. We'll chant Om Shanti together 3 times, 3 times. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for being here. Namaste. So if you'd like to, I will share my illustrations with you, and I'll tell you a little bit about the work our training group is doing. I'll just take a few minutes, and you're welcome, of course, to stay, or if you have other commitments, you can go. I understand. So earlier this morning, we did a little illustration practice. The first illustration, we make a line, a marker line on a page, and we do this from a certain kind of reflection. So my marker is the brown line that you see here and here. And then we just reflect again, and we ask of the illustration what colors want to be placed. And these are pastels, so that you can move it with your finger if you want to. And our first illustration was, if you were to depict this deepest essence, if it was going to reflect itself back to you in some sort of gesture or something, what would that look like? So this was my illustration this morning for that deepest essence. And then our second illustration we added, okay, now if you were reflecting on your inner Arjuna, the part of you that has a duty, let the non-dominant hand again be the marker line. So these are my marker lines, the dark brown is what I used again. And then you ask again, okay, so if this Arjuna part of you, this part that has a sense of duty, was to have color and other expression, what might that be? And you don't try to predetermine it or make it too analytical or too like specific or literal. So these are the 3 colors that came for me. One is a red, one is an orange, and then there's a yellow in here. And we don't decide, what does that all mean? We're having a relationship with the illustration as it's having a relationship with us. And then we made our third, and this one we did with the dominant hand. We went to the hand we normally write with, and again, the question was first a marker line of your dilemmas, the part of you that gets caught in the dilemmas, the samskaras, the vrittis, the mental dust bunnies of the mind, the difficulties in daily life. And so these brown marks again, including up in here, that's what my dominant hand was drawing on the page. And then we ask again, okay, and what colors would want to be there? What else wants to show up? And you wait for the colors to tell you. And so you don't go to the analytical left brain, you're waiting to see what wants to come onto the page. And we kind of accept it, it's like leading us, right? It's a process of being led from within, not thinking on the outside, what is this gonna look like and what do I want it to say? And then we have these 3 illustrations. Let me just get this here. So I usually use a clipboard and I don't have my clipboard with me. So let me show this. So here, the dilemmas are on the front. And this is what many people in yoga practice, we get to glimpse the essence of life. And we're like, wow, I feel so much better. I feel so much more connected, more included, a greater sense of love and belonging. But then, oh, life takes over. oh yeah, I'm back in the sort of daily grind, or the gossip, the pettiness, the things, all the things. Oh, I go back to yoga practice. Oh, I feel so much better. So nice. And I see everybody else's beauty and grace, and I love them more, and I feel more easily forgiving and more grounded. And whoops, somebody says something, and I think, what are you doing? I get dysregulated again, like this. So the question we're asking actually is, where is your Arjuna, whose duty is to help us to understand these dilemmas and to work with them wisely, so that we can resolve those dilemmas and see more often the essence in everyone, everything, including ourselves. But we have to know where our action is going to come from. Where's our inner Arjuna, the warrior in us that is required to act to resolve this difficult stuff, so that we get to live here like this. Okay, so that's 4 years of graduate school in art therapy and 25 years of teaching yoga teacher trainings for you. You understand everything now? No, it's only 21 years of teaching teacher training. Sorry, one should not exaggerate. A little mathematical boo-boo there. Okay, any questions about what I've just said or shown, or anything from class that you want to just share? It's great to see you, by the way, and thank you for your attention for this kind of process too.